welcome in, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you all are well and peace be upon you all. So, we had another very fun weekend in the NFL Week 11. So, we got a lot of good games to talk about. We're going to talk about most of them. We're going to take a look and see which teams won, which teams played well, which players had good games, and just overall things that stood out in NFL Week 11 action. So, some particular games that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Thursday night football matchup between Drake May and the Patriots going against Justin Fields and the Jets. And Drake May continues his MVP play. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers getting a very important win versus the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Flacco. We're going to talk about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills having a huge game versus the Bucks. We're going to also talk about the game between Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs versus Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. So we had a lot of good matchups this weekend, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Before we jump into that, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I create content about money, sports, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to other people's lives. So if you guys find value in this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. All right, let's go ahead and jump into NFL Week 11. All right, guys. So things kicked off on Thursday night with Thursday Night Football. We had a matchup between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. So this was Justin Fields of the Jets versus Drake May of the Patriots. Drake May is having an MVP type of season. The Patriots are probably the biggest positive surprise of the season. So it was a cool game to check out. And we can see that the Patriots continue to win. They win this one 27-14. They improved to 9-2 on the season. Best record in the AFC. And the Jets fall to 2-8. So let's check out some of the game leaders in this one. All right, for the New York Jets, Justin Fields, 15 for 26, 116 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. He also had 11 carries and ran for 67 yards with a touchdown on the ground as well. So it was a pretty good game by Justin Fields. He's not, honestly, he's one of the worst quarterbacks throwing the ball, but just with his threat, with his legs, um, that's kind of what makes him special and dangerous. So he was able to use his legs in this game as well and get a running touchdown. So pretty good game by him, um, but it wasn't enough to get a win for the Patriots. Drake May, 25 for 34, 281 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Stephon Diggs had 9 receptions for 105 yards. All right, so the two big guys, Drake May and Stephon Diggs, had pretty good games for the Patriots, and they get the win in this one. So, I mean, the New York Jets are one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. I think there was some hope that they could turn things around. You know, they have a new head coach, Aaron Glenn, new quarterback, Justin Fields. But they're just not a very good football team they haven't been for decades. So the same old Jets, basically. For the Patriots, like I mentioned earlier, they're the biggest positive surprise of the NFL season. 9-2 record. They're they have the best record in the AFC, so they're in first place. I don't think most people expected that. A lot of people were not sure if the Patriots were going to make the playoffs. So the fact that they're number one and have the best record is very impressive. And all of that is mainly due to Drake May. He's having an MVP type of season. In some people's books, he's the front runner for MVP. I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I think I would pick Matt Stafford at this point, but we still have a good chunk of the season left. But it's just kind of amazing to see the Patriots. They had Tom Brady all those years, those decades, and they were and then after that, they were kind of struggling to find their franchise quarterback for the long term, and now they found him in Drake May. So it's just kind of interesting to see the Patriots back on top again. They have again an amazing quarterback. So the New England Patriots are back and winning a lot of games in the NFL. So the game that I was most excited about was the matchup, the rematch between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this was round two of the Icy Hot Bowl. Joe Flacco of the Bengals versus Aaron Rodgers of the Steelers. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, and because he's playing for the Steelers, I am rooting for the Steelers this season. So this was definitely an important game in the AFC North Division. The Steelers are trying to keep their lead in the division against the Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson back, and they've won multiple games in a row. So, very important game for the Steelers, and they got the job done in this one. They win 34-12. They improved to 6-4 on the season, and the Bengals fall to 3-7. So let's check out the game leaders in this one and the 40-year-old plus quarterbacks. So for the Bengals, Joe Flacco, he went 23 for 40, 199 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Chase Brown had 99 yards rushing, and T. Higgins had 63 yards receiving with one touchdown. All right, for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers went 9 for 15, 116 yards with one touchdown. He got injured in the third quarter. He injured his left wrist. So Mason Rudolph came in and the rest of the game and went 12 for 16, 127 with one touchdown. And their running back, Kenneth Gainwell, he had a big game receiving. He had 81 yards receiving with two touchdowns. So a lot of different guys contributing for the Steelers and for both teams. So again, this was a very big matchup. These both teams are in the same division, AFC North. So I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals are basically out of contention as far as making the playoffs. Like mathematically, they're still in it, but they really have no chance. It's just kind of a two-horse race between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. So this was very important for the Steelers to keep their lead against the Ravens, who also ended up winning. Because if the Steelers had lost this one, they would have dropped to 5-5, and the Steelers and the Ravens won, and they're 5-5. So these two teams would have been tied in first place. But Steelers get a win, and they have a lead over the Ravens, which is good. And this one, Aaron Rodgers, he played pretty well while he was in there, like efficient, just getting the job done, making good decisions. So Aaron Rodgers continued his good play that he's had all season. And Mason Rudolph came in at the end and also played nicely and got the job done. He didn't have any mistakes, so good job by the Steeler quarterbacks. Also, the Steelers defense had a big game. The defense scored 2 touchdowns. One was on a interception, and another one was on a fumble. So the defense got 2 touchdowns for the Steelers, which is huge. So just a very impressive win by the Steelers. And if they continue playing like this, I think they're a very dangerous team for anybody. For the Bengals, I mean, they played okay in this game, just not enough firepower. Um, and again, the Bengals are not going anywhere this season. There was some hope that Joe Burrow might come back soon, um, but that's really not going to make too much of a difference since Joe Flacco is having a good season, and the Bengals' issues are on defense, not on offense. So the Bengals are pretty much done for this season, and the Steelers. Let's go, Steelers. Keep the Ravens off. And even if the Ravens catch the Steelers are still going to have a chance in the wild card spot. So just keep up the good play. Aaron Rodgers, hopefully he's healthy, and let's get some more wins. All right. So the next game we're going to talk about is the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. So couple of two young, exciting quarterbacks, Caleb Williams of the Bears versus JJ McCarthy. So a nice little quarterback matchup there. So in this one, it went all the way down to the wire. The Vikings were winning 17-16, but at the end, the Chicago Bears got a last second field goal and they go up 19-17, and that's the game. And the Chicago Bears, they improved to 7-3, and the Vikings fall to 4-6. So I think the Chicago Bears are also one of the more surprising teams of the year. All the struggles that they had in the preseason and to begin the season, now they find themselves with a record of 7-3, which is really impressive. Um, it's one of the better records in the NFC. So, very good job by the head coach, Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams is improving. So, the Chicago Bears keep getting it done. Let's check out the game leaders in this one. All right, Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, 16 for 32, 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So, I mean, just kind of an okay game by Caleb. Completion percentage is 50%. That's not very good. 193 yards is okay. He didn't have any turnovers, but he also didn't have any touchdowns. So just a okay game by Caleb Williams, just kind of game managing. And their running back, Swift, had 90 yards rushing, which is good. Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, 16 for 32, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones, 70 yards rushing. Justin Jefferson, 61 yards receiving. So, not a good game by the Minnesota Vikings offense. J.J. McCarthy struggled, and the weapons also didn't have good games as well. So, all right. So, let's talk a little bit more about these two teams. again, this preseason and off season, um, there was just kind of a lot of talk and noise, negativity around the Chicago Bears. Um, Also, when the regular season started, they were just kind of bad and looked unorganized. But each week, Caleb Williams has gotten better. Ben Johnson, the head coach, he's he's getting better and better with the Bears as well. And again, they find themselves at 7-3, one of the best records in the NFC. Um, they just win these like very close games, and they're very good situationally. So they don't have the biggest stats, and it doesn't always look pretty, but in those game deciding moments, they just get the job done. And very impressed by their 7-3 season. But I think Caleb Williams still has a lot of room for growth, and he will grow. So Chicago Bears, very, very dangerous team, headed for the playoffs. And look out if you're facing the Chicago Bears. For the Vikings, not a very good game by them. Since JJ McCarthy has come back from his injury as their starting quarterback, yeah, he honestly hasn't played very well. He he's been kind of a disappointment. I think a lot of people thought that he would have a nice jump this season. The Vikings, they got rid of Sam Darnold last season with the hopes that JJ McCarthy is the answer at the quarterback position. I mean, so far he's been a disappointment, but as far as his overall career, I mean, he's going to get better and better, but he's definitely struggling this season. And I don't think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs. So we had a very big scoring game and very exciting offensive game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills, two of the better teams in the NFL. A very exciting quarterback matchup as well. Baker Mayfield versus Josh Allen. And even though this game was close in the fourth quarter, the Bills pulled away and they get a win of 44-32. The Bills improved to 7-3 on the season, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 6-4. So let's take a look at some of the game leaders in this one. A lot of offense in this one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, 16 for 28, 173 yards, one touchdown, one interception. So just kind of a okay game by Baker. Their running back, Tucker, was very impressive in this game. He had 19 carries for 106 yards, two touchdowns, and he was just, it seemed like running all over the place, running all over the Bills. So I was just very impressed by him. Um, I've never seen him before, so just kind of stood out a lot in this game. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, 19 for 30, 317 yards, three touchdowns, two interceptions. James Cook, 48 yards rushing, and Shavers, 90 yards receiving with a touchdown. So in this one, you know, you got it all with Josh Allen. He had some amazing plays. He threw over 300 yards, three touchdowns, the very exciting Josh Allen. But then he had a couple of interceptions that had you kind of like scratching your head. On one play, he tried to just kind of get rid of the ball, kind of pushed it two hand or tossed it, trying to not get sacked, but ended up getting intercepted. So he still has those kind of like head scratching plays. So, but nonetheless, his good play definitely overcomes, you know, those negative plays that happen once in a while, but he definitely wants to eliminate those negative plays as much as possible. All right, so let's talk more about these two teams. So my hometown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unfortunately lose. Um, I mean, the Bucks are pretty much you get the same thing from them every year. They're a very good regular season team, you know, on offense, defense, special teams, but they're just not one of those like upper level, upper tier teams where you can seriously consider them like as a Super Bowl contender. I mean, I love their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I love their offensive weapons with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and they always have a good defense. But they're just so far, they're just not that upper tier team like those 3, 4, 5 teams that are legit Super Bowl contenders. So hopefully they get there, soon with Baker Mayfield. But I don't think they're there yet. Like in these big games, like versus the Bills, that's where you want to show you're one of the best teams, and they're just not quite on these teams' levels yet. For the Buffalo Bills, very, very good offensive game in this one. Um, Josh Allen, he had total of 6 touchdowns, so that's kind of crazy. Um, he's definitely back in the MVP race. He kind of took a little break from the MVP race, but he's definitely right there with Matt Stafford and Drake May. Um, he does kind of play like Superman just because when like the game is on the line, when everything is just kind of chaotic, he shines in those moments, and he always plays best in those like very stressful moments, very important moments of the game. And he got a big win for his team. They're 7-3, sitting pretty at 7-3. So very impressive game by the Buffalo Bills, by Josh Allen with his 6 touchdowns. And the Bills are going to be tough against anybody. All right. So next, let's talk about the matchup between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this was two pretty exciting quarterbacks going head to head. Justin Herbert of the Chargers versus Trevor Lawrence of the Jags. So we had a big, big, big upset in this one. The Jags blow out the Chargers 35-6. The Jags are 6-4 on the season. The Chargers are 7-4. So very big upset here. I think the Chargers were big favorites. So let's check out some of the game leaders in this one, see how the guys played. Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, 10 for 18, 81 yards, 1 interception. So very bad game by Justin Herbert in this one. Keenan Allen had 53 yards receiving. For the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, 14 for 22, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So just kind of an okay game by Trevor Lawrence. He's got to keep those turnovers, those interceptions down. It seems like he has one every game. All right, and their running back, Tootin, had 74 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. All right, so let's talk more about this game and these teams. So the Chargers, I mean, this definitely was a big surprise with Justin Herbert. They only put up 6 points. But the Chargers have honestly been kind of up and down the whole season. I remember to kick off the regular season, they got a big win over the Chiefs in the game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That was impressive. And since then, they've just kind of been up and down. They've won some games, but then they've lost some other games. So they're just kind of a hard team to judge. I don't think they're like a upper tier teams, especially with the injuries that they've had to their offensive line, specifically left tackle Joe Alt. So I think the Chargers are very similar to the Buccaneers in that they're very good every season, every regular season. They get into the playoffs, but they don't really make any kind of serious noise in the playoffs, and nobody takes them as a serious contender for the Super Bowl. So that's just kind of how I feel about the Chargers. Um, with the Jags, they're probably the most volatile team in the NFL. They have some horrible losses, but then they have some like amazing wins, like this one, and other games that they've come back in. So they're also a very hard team to like figure out. They're very volatile. Um, so and with Trevor Lawrence, he's always like up and down. He has some good plays, but he has like a turnover every single game. So yeah, not sure. With the Jags, they're 6-4 on the season, so they definitely have a good chance of making the playoffs. But I would not trust the Jags in the playoffs. We had a big matchup in the NFC West division. Seattle Seahawks versus Los Angeles Rams. Sam Darnold versus Matt Stafford. Two MVP candidates. I think Matt Stafford is the front runner. So this was definitely a interesting game to check out. The Rams squeeze out the win 21-19. They improve to 8-2. The Seattle Seahawks fall to 7-3. So let's check out the highlights or the game leaders in this one. Sam Darnold for the Seahawks, 29 for 44, 279 yards, zero touchdowns, four interceptions. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. Zero for TDs and four INTs. So pretty bad game by Sam Darnold there, but the yardage was pretty good. Their running back, Kenneth Walker, 67 yards rushing with a touchdown. Their exciting wide receiver, Smith and Jigba, had 9 receptions for 105 yards. Let's go over to the Rams side. MVP frontrunner, in my opinion, Matt Stafford. He went 15 for 28, 130 yards with two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Running back Kyron Williams, 91 yards rushing with a touchdown. And Puka Nakua had 75 yards receiving in this one. All right, so again, very big matchup in the NFC West division. Um, two teams that had the same record going into this game. Both were 7-2. The Rams get a win. They're 8-2. The Seahawks fall to 7-3. So the Rams take the lead in the NFC West division. Matt Stafford continuing to throw touchdowns. MVP frontrunner, in my opinion. So two teams that are playoff bound. So even though Sam Darnold had the four interceptions, um, he's still having a really good season, and he's definitely resurrected his career. And it's good to see him having success this year, the same way he had success last year with the Vikings. Um, so two very good NFC teams that will be in the playoffs. All right, so we had a matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. This is a matchup between Lamar Jackson and it was Dylan Gabriel for most of the game in this one. So the Ravens, they continue to win. They win 23-16. They improve to 5-5 on the season. The Browns fall to 2-8, and the Ravens after having a horrible start to this season. I believe they were either 1-4 or 1-5. Now they're back at 500, 5-5 on the season. Lamar Jackson is back, so the Ravens look very dangerous for the rest of the regular season. Let's check out the game leaders in this one. For the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 14 for 25, 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, not a very good game by Lamar Jackson, and by his standards, he's maybe still trying to get back into the swing of things, but not a very good game in this one. Derrick Henry had 18 carries for 103 yards with a touchdown, and Zay Flowers had 78 yards receiving. Let's check out the Browns. Dylan Gabriel, he went 7 for 10, 68 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He got injured, and then Shedeur Sanders came in. He went 4 for 16, 47 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. So, pretty bad game by both teams in this one, actually, but the Ravens were able to get the win, and that's all that matters. So, just some more thoughts on these two teams in this game. So, like I mentioned earlier, the Baltimore Ravens are in the same division as the team that I'm rooting for, the Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC North. So, I definitely want the Ravens to lose so that they don't catch up to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that wasn't the case. They get a big win. They improved to 5-5. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4, and just one game out. So next week, if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose, they would be 6-5. If the Ravens win, they would be 6-5, and the two teams would be tied. So my expectation is that at some point the Ravens will take over the lead in the AFC North division over the Steelers, just because I think they're a better team. But I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers will make the playoffs as a wild card team. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. For the Browns, I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL this season, but it was kind of interesting to watch Shedeur Sanders get some play time in this one after the Dylan Gabriel injury. Shedeur played really bad. He only completed a few of his passes. He had an interception. So hopefully this was just kind of a one-off. But I'm hoping that the Browns insert Shedeur Sanders in the starting lineup for the next few weeks, just so that we get a good picture of Shedeur Sanders, what he looks like as a starting quarterback, and just to see if he's the Browns' quarterback of the future or not. So, one of the most exciting games from this weekend was definitely the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. So, this was Patrick Mahomes versus Bo Nix, Andy Reid versus Sean Payton. These two teams are in the same division. So, it was a big game just because if the Denver Broncos win, there's a high certainty that they're going to win the division. And if the Chiefs win, there was a possibility that the Chiefs come back and take over the lead in the division and win the division. So it was kind of a division winning deciding game. So huge game in this one, and we see that the Denver Broncos get the win 22-19. They improved to 9-2 on the season, one of the best records in the NFL. And the Chiefs fall to 5-5. They're 500 on the season, so they're not having the best season this year. Let's check out the game leaders in this one. So for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 29 for 45, 276 yards, one touchdown, one interception. So, I mean, that's a pretty good game by Mahomes. He's definitely had better games, but this was also a pretty good game. It was good enough. Kareem Hunt had 59 yards rushing with a touchdown. Travis Kelsey had a good game, 91 yards receiving with a touchdown. And let's check out the Broncos. Bo Nix, he went 24 for 37, 295 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. So Bo Nix had a really good game, even though he had zero touchdowns, almost 300 yards. He was making very accurate passes, good decisions. So I was definitely very impressed by Bo Nix in this one. And all right, so let's talk a little bit more about this game and these teams. So again, this was a division deciding matchup. Looks like they're both in the AFC West. So huge win for the Broncos. They pretty much secured that they're going to win this division. It's not mathematically still over, but at 9-2, they're almost assured that they're going to win the division unless they fall off like crazy. The Chiefs continue to struggle this season, 5-5. They've been very up and down this whole season. Last year, a lot of the one-scoring games they were able to win, but it's a very different story this season. They've lost a lot of one-score games, but it's still the Chiefs, man. They're too dangerous with Mahomes, with all their wide receivers, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, still have Travis Kelsey, their coaches. I still think they're the best team in the NFL. I think they're just kind of cruising along this regular season. I mean, they wanted to win this game, obviously, but the Chiefs play the best when it matters, when the playoffs come. So I still think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. Mahomes is the best quarterback, but it looks like they're not going to win the division this time around. So next, we're going to talk about the Sunday night football matchup that was between the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. So two very good teams in the NFC, probably the two best ones. So this was Jared Goff of the Lions versus Jalen Hurts of the Eagles. Not the most exciting game, not a lot of offense in this one, but the Eagles get the win 16-9. They improved to 8-2 on the season, and the Lions fall to 6-4. So with the Eagles, they're definitely not the most exciting or sexiest team in the NFL, but they just keep getting these wins one way or another. I don't know how. And a lot of their wins have come against very good teams. So I just think it's honestly their defense is so good and so stable and consistent and steady that their offense doesn't even have to be very good for them to get like wins. So very, very impressed by the Eagles getting another win. Let's check out the game leaders in this one. Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, 14 for 37. That's only a 38% completion percentage. That's very bad. 255 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Jahmyr Gibbs, only 39 yards rushing, but he did have 107 yards receiving. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 14 for 28, 135 yards. Just the usual Jalen Hurts game, kind of boring, but kind of game management, but it gets the job done. No mistakes, no interceptions. So very nice and steady performance by Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley had 83 yards rushing, and A.J. Brown had 49 yards receiving. So, yeah, I mean, these two teams are definitely they're probably the two best teams in the NFC. It was also a cool quarterback matchup, Jared Goff versus Jalen Hurts. And the head coach for the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, he took over play calling for the Lions a couple weeks back. So it's kind of disappointing to see them only put up 9 points after they make that change. And with Jared Goff, like a lot of people say, he's very good when he has good protection, but any kind of pressure on him, he just kind of like melts. He has no like escapability, no mobility. So if you get any kind of pressure on Jared Goff, he becomes an average to below average quarterback. And he had a pretty bad game in this one with a very low completion percentage. The Eagles, again, their offense is boring. Even with having Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, their offense is boring, but they keep getting these wins. Their defense very consistent, very good. So, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC is or are the Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champs. I don't care what it looks like, how pretty or how ugly it is. They're just the most consistent, the most reliable team, and they would be my pick to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC side. All right, so the final game that we're going to talk about from NFL Week 11 is tonight's matchup on Monday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is a matchup between Dak Prescott of the Cowboys and Geno Smith of the Raiders. Not the most exciting game, but still some intrigue to it. Want to see the quarterback matchup between these two. It's going to be interesting. Looks like this game is in Las Vegas. And win probability Cowboys 62%, Raiders 38%. So I think I agree with that. My expectation is that the Cowboys are going to win this one. Um, just in the head to head quarterback matchup, I like Dak Prescott better than Geno Smith. I don't trust Geno Smith. I don't think he's consistent enough. But we'll see if the other guys for the Raiders show up and maybe cause an upset in this one. But these two teams, I mean, the Cowboys, they have a chance of making the playoffs. They're going to be around 500 record for the season, but the Raiders really don't have a chance since they have the Chiefs and the Broncos in their division who are playing well. So, not the most exciting Monday Night Football matchup, but again, I'll pick the Cowboys in this one, and we shall see what happens. All right, guys, before we wrap things up for today, let's go ahead and check out the standings in the NFL after week 11, see what things look like. So, AFC East, New England Patriots 9-2. They have an 8 game winning streak. Buffalo Bills 7-3. So the Bills still have a chance to win the division. It's close enough that they still have a chance, but the Patriots have been in the lead, I think, most of the season, if not the whole season. But either way, both of these teams will be in the playoffs. AFC North, very interesting division. Right now, the Steelers are 6-4, 1 game ahead of the Ravens, who are 5-5. I think the Ravens are gonna overtake the Steelers in the coming weeks. But I'm hoping that even though with that the Steelers in second place still make the playoffs as a wild card team. The other two teams are out. AFC South, Colts are looking good. I don't trust the Jags, so I think only the Colts will make the playoffs out of that division. NFC West or AFC West. The Broncos just got a big win over the Chiefs. They're first at 9-2, should win the division. The Chargers still have a chance at 7-4. The Chiefs, I still expect them to make the playoffs. The Raiders are out. So I think three teams out of the AFC West will make the playoffs. Over on the NFC side, NFC East, Eagles are looking good. The other three teams are not going anywhere. NFC North, Chicago Bears, very, very impressive and surprising at 7-3. Packers 6-3, Lions 6-4. Those three teams should all make the playoffs. Vikings should be out. NFC South, Tampa Bay Bucks 6-4. But we got the Carolina Panthers right behind them at 6-5. So I think the Bucks will pull out the division win in this one when it's all said and done. But also the Carolina Panthers are having a very nice season quietly, and they might sneak into the playoffs. NFC West, Rams just got a big win over the Seahawks, so they take the lead at 8-2 on the year. Seahawks are 7-3. 49ers 7-4. So in this division, I think the Rams and Seahawks will make the playoffs. I'm not sure about the 49ers, and the Cardinals are definitely going to be out. All right, guys. So that's all I wanted to cover for NFL Week 11. I hope you guys like this video and enjoy the content. If you did, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.